Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gabriel, and today I'm just talking to you about kind of my journey, an update on what I've been going through. I'm gonna, I hope that my journey and my experience can help you in your self-discovery and your relationship with yourself. Because today I want to talk about discovering yourself, both in the sense of how I discovered my masculinity and my transition, how that's gone so far. I've done videos on this in the past, but I think some of them have been deleted. I think some of them are very old at this point because it's been a couple years since I've been on this transition journey. And I haven't really done a lot of updates because it has been kind of a personal thing that I've been going through. But I do want to share a little bit about that now. And so I hope this helps you. And it doesn't have to be about gender affirming care or anything about like that in particular, although I will cover that a lot in this video. Um, I'm also going to talk a little bit about connecting with your dreams and desires because that's something that I'm currently moving through as well. And I'm hoping that as I move through it, I can help you all move through it as well. So, just to catch you up with where I am, I came out as trans 3 years ago now. Back in 2020. And it was kind of a process to get there. I had been on my spiritual journey for about a year and a half at that point, and I had kind of hit a wall where I was like loving myself and doing all the things, but I kept just hitting this wall where I could just feel like I couldn't go beyond, and I wasn't sure why at first, and I just kind of felt angry and upset a lot, and I knew that I was moving through something big, and I knew I was moving through a cave, and I'm kind of feeling a little bit like that now, to be honest. I know I'm like moving through some stuff with my life purpose and with understanding myself and seeing myself deeper. So I feel like I'm going through another layer of that, like 3 years later, same time of year-ish. Cycles are definitely real. But what I want to say is that as as I was kind of moving through all that, I kept getting like I would have moments where I'd be like, am I the divine masculine? And I'd get kind of scared and I didn't want to look at it. And I was like, no, 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 no. That can't be it. No, 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 that can't be it. And um, and that's always a pretty good indicator with me. Honestly, that's like kind of my tell of like, oh, this is someplace I don't want to go. And it's not a, necessarily an affirmation of yes or no, like I'm the divine masculine or not. But a lot of times when it's something like that, it's like I already know the answer and it's just healing everything around the answer, all of my upsets around it. And that's pretty much what it was. Because it was finally, I got to this point where I was approached and it was kind of like, how do you like to have sex? Like maybe you should kind of explore your sexuality and your gender. And it wasn't put to me exactly like that, but the question of like, how do you like to have sex was kind of like the catalyst for that. Because that is kind of the most base, primal, indicator of of like your gender, or not gender so much as your natural polarity. Because, gender is something that, is like hard to define because, you can identify as masculine, feminine, or not binary. But for the purposes of this video, I'm actually speaking to what I believe are your natural polarity. So you're either 100% masculine energy or 100% feminine energy. And if you haven't determined which you are yet, that's okay. And if you're, if you feel like you're somewhere in between, like God has, created you as 100% one thing and your twin flame is 100% the other. And the opposite that you feel is your twin flame. So like if say for instance, like I'm masculine and I feel feminine within me, like that is actually my twin flame that I'm feeling. And vice versa. It's kind of like that yin yang sign. You are one, and the thing that that little dot is actually your twin flame, rather than a part of you that you have to balance. You're balanced by being yourselves. But beyond that, um, that's how I'm going to refer to kind of like polarities and gender and masculine and feminine, because it doesn't matter what body you're in. It doesn't matter how you prefer to identify or what pronouns you want to use. It doesn't matter any of that. I'm just strictly talking about energy in this conversation. And that can be something that takes a while to really figure out, because I think we get confused with all of these different definitions that we have, and also the stereotypes of what it means to be masculine or feminine in society. Because a lot of times we get put in boxes of, is it Barbies or G.I. Joes? Is it rom-coms or popcorn Fast and the Furious flicks? It's not that simple. I think anyone who's ever explored their self-expression would know that it's not that simple. But the energy is, and it's just how you were created. It doesn't mean that you don't like certain things and other things. It just means that the nature of your energy and the way that you connect with God and interface with the world is that. And that's like your natural state. So backing up, I, had a lot of upsets around that, because when that came to me, I was like, oh, like, I don't know. And I kind of had to just do some self-reflection of past partners and how I reacted in relationships. And I always found that I was like the one, like, that I felt better giving in my relationships. I was always the one that was like, I felt better when I was giving more than I received in a lot of ways. And both like in, I guess, a sexual context, but not so much in like the act. It doesn't matter like what the act was, but I felt when I was like giving to my partner, either by through that or through just small like loving gestures and things like that, gifts and all this stuff, I always had this natural desire to like give and pursue my partner, where I think maybe that isn't so with the divine feminine, and maybe that's not your experience, but that's how it kind of felt for me. Is like I felt like, oh yeah, like there is this something that there's just this drive to give rather than like be more receptive. And that's not to say that divine masculine and divine feminine don't both give and receive. They do. It's just like your primary way of relating to the world. Men are more like giving or going outward, like, and then feminine are more receiving and like radiant, and whereas men is like more just like present. And it's one of their complements. They're not opposites, and it's not just like there's no like one thing that you can pin down and really say like that's it. But I'm kind of speaking to my own experience, and that's how it felt for me. It's just like, oh, like, yes, like I understand this energy when I finally like work through my blocks and fears around being trans in a world that is honestly not too friendly to trans people currently, especially in some of the states that in the United States, and I'm sure around the world. Like, it's not always super friendly or safe sometimes to be trans, but once I worked through that and I ultimately decided like I just need to surrender, you know, it was almost like I felt like I was grounded. I felt like more peaceful. That didn't mean that I didn't have more upsets that came up over the years. I absolutely have. I've had places where I still felt like I was feminine in one way, and I had to work through stereotypes, and I'm still kind of working through stereotypes where it's like, oh, I like a glass of wine, and like that doesn't mean that I'm feminine. That just means I like wine. And it's like, these little things where it's like you've been programmed to think that, oh, because you like certain TV shows or whatever, that, oh, that's like that makes you this, whatever, you put in this box. And that's not it. But for me, it was literally just like I connected with this part of this energy that was mine, this natural energy, rather than this like kind of facade that I'd been trying to like force myself into this little box. And I felt more free. And I've found that every time I've gone deeper into my masculinity, it's been something I could easily sustain, and it's been natural that I've gone deeper and deeper into it. As an example, when I would try to be, more feminine, like I guess kind of leaning into like stereotypically more feminine, focusing on beauty from a feminine perspective, like hair, makeup, clothing, things like that. I could do that for a little while, but it just wasn't sustainable for me. It was like not something that I really cared about. And it's not that I don't care about um like my own divine beauty or anything like that. I think that is a core value for me. But I express it differently. And I felt the need to express it in a different way. And for me it came through like health and fitness, and it came through taking care of myself and all of those things. And that's something I'm still like healing through now as a divine masculine and what that means for me. But when I was expressing on the outside as a woman, I was definitely like leaning more into physical health and fitness, and that area where I kind of just let my like hair and do whatever it wanted. I didn't really like makeup that much. My clothing was just like workout clothes every day. Um, and I just didn't really connect with that. And I also just didn't connect with other divine feminines that in a way that I think is more natural to divine feminine. Found myself often in awkward situations where I just couldn't like read the room with girl talk. And it was really awkward for me, and I just felt like maybe I was a tomboy or maybe I was aloof and I just didn't get it. Um, and maybe there is some element of that, but for me it was like all these things I started to see like in hindsight, really, it's like, oh, like all these pieces where I just tried to go deeper into my femininity and tried to like connect with women and tried to be best friends and gal pals. It just never happened. I just ended up being like the awkward, like, guy friend that was like friend zoned or something like that. When I look back and I feel into those situations, like that's definitely energetically what was happening. But as I've gone deeper into my masculinity, it's just felt natural. Like it felt like it felt great to go on testosterone, for example. Like it was like, yes, like I finally feel like me. I finally feel like this is kind of me. And it's a different experience. There's still things that I'm learning and experiencing. And I didn't have like the socialization as a man in society, but I did have like this connection with like that energy and what that represented, and I felt more natural and more relieved and more peaceful. And then like when I started wearing masculine clothes rather than more feminine clothes, and when I cut my hair, like it just all started to feel more natural and more lighter and more free for me. Um, and then, I had top surgery last year in June. And it was literally like both figuratively and literally, it was such a weight off of me. And I can't tell you how much I was just like, oh, thank God. Like I just didn't, it just started to feel so heavy. And I had always just been so uncomfortable in my skin in a lot of ways. And like as I've been claiming what I feel is naturally me, I feel more at peace with myself. And it has just been this blessing. But deeper than that, I've also had to learn how to work as a divine masculine and relate to the world in that energy. Because even though I was never a divine feminine, never, not in truth, you do learn and adapt to social norms at like the way that you were raised. And like I feel like I got used to relating to the world as a divine feminine. And I think that's why I had so many issues where I would just like hit the wall. And like now I'm finding that as I'm in my divine masculine, or if I ever try to kind of slip back into those patterns of being in a divine feminine like energy, as I work, or like trying to match that energy as I work, it actually doesn't work for me. I feel very like um, awkward and weird, and I feel like I'm kind of putting up a mask. And I have to remind myself to just surrender and let those things go and just be myself and not try to attach to anything that's the divine masculine or whatever like that, but really um, just to relax into who I am, because that will then naturally lead to me to working in that space rather than hanging on to an old pattern of how I used to relate to the world. Um, and that's not so much even to do with my masculinity, but it's also to do with like how I see myself. And this is where I kind of want to talk about, switch gears a little bit and talk about like going deeper with yourself in general, because um I've talked a little bit about contrast in terms of divine feminine and divine masculine and how I saw like the contrast there, but I'm also learning to see myself clearly in other ways, because I didn't see myself as a masculine for the longest time, and then I saw that, and then I've been going deeper into that, and now it's really time for me to look at my dreams and goals and aspirations and all of that. And for the longest time, I felt really disconnected from that. And to some level, I still do, but there is like this thing where I feel very called to help people, and I feel very called to love and do my best for people. And I think I get discouraged sometimes when I can't put that, I can't put like a label on it, or I can't put that in a box. And that's because like God doesn't make you with like this, oh, here you are, here you are in this box, and this is you. You are like this gift that is unraveling, and you're always like unfolding parts of yourself and finding out more and more about the creation that God made you or created you as. And it's okay, and this is something that I'm learning, that it's okay to kind of take that step by step and not cling to like, what is my purpose, is of like you're gonna find this like one thing, and my one thing is this. And it's more like you follow that good feeling of who you are and what you follow that good feeling of what makes you feel good, where you have passion, and you do those things that make you feel good, regardless of what they are. They don't have to be career wise, they could just be what God is calling you to do in the moment. And as you do that, you learn about yourself, and every little thing that you've done in your life, everything that's come natural to you in your life, um, God will like use the pieces of those things to make your life purpose. Like God has always been, naturally giving you hints as to who you are throughout your life. And it's really just surrendering to allowing God to really unveil you. And it's a beautiful like dance with God, and it's also just a process. And I know that I've talked a lot about processes on this channel, and how it is that is the way of the twin flame journey. That is the way of your ascension journey. Is that it is you that you are unfolding. It is you and your relationship with God that you are always finding and going deeper into. And you're never. I don't think you're ever gonna stop. Finding out new things about you, because I'm sure like God has just like created you so perfect that you don't even know yourself really yet. And that doesn't mean you can't know yourself. That just means that you have to be open to the fluidity that is you. And if you allow yourself to just relax and heal and go with the flow, and I'm talking to myself too in this case, because again, like it's been such a block for me. But I really I felt like I had like a little bit of a breakthrough today, where it was just like, just relax, just let God, um, you know, just relax and let God like show you who you are and know your worth. Because you don't have to figure anything out about who you are. God is going to show you who you are. And just like he did with my masculinity, there were just like these hints along the way of like, where it's like I kind of already knew, and God just didn't push too hard. He was just like, here's a little hint, here's a little hint, here's a little hint, here's a little hint. Okay, now you're ready. You're ready to accept the truth. You're ready to work through it. And God will do that with you as you surrender to Him and allow Him to move into your life and through your life. Um, it's it's a dance with God, and yeah, I think for me it's just like you have to surrender. You know, that's what it is. It's surrendering to God, revealing you to you. You have to allow it. You have to be open to God showing you who you are, who your twin flame is, and you have to, you know, let God in, so that you can really align and surrender to the truth, because it's worth it. It may feel like, like a struggle sometimes, but if you surrender to what God is showing you and you go like one step at a time, God is never going to overwhelm you. God is never going to uh, like come out of nowhere and surprise you. It may feel like that at the time, but I promise you, you'll look back and say, "Oh yeah, there was hints the whole time. Oh yeah, there was this stuff," and you just have to accept the hints that are the peaceful hints and not the fear. You accept that God's truth is always going to lead you deeper into love and peace and who you truly are, and it's never going to be a bad thing. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I know this video is a little longer than normal, and I know it was more personal and a little bit more introspective than just straight up telling you what to do. But I hope that if you made it to the end of this video, that you liked it and that it was helpful for you. If not, hello, just thank you for making it all the way here to the end. But if you want to see more content on this channel, readings and other twin flame related content and more updates on my journey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you would like support on your twin flame journey, your ascension journey, your life purpose journey, or just connecting with who you are, connecting with God, my services are at sacredtwinflameunion.com. And I will see you all in the next video.